Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dave Strohmeyer with Saddle Up Shooting, your host. If this is your first time here, glad to know you. For the rest of you, welcome back. Modern science and new production rifles and ammunition is pretty doggone exciting. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today based upon when less is more. Now, it seems to me like shorter barrels, smaller cartridges are becoming the new thing compared to my old days where a 24-inch barrel was absolutely normal. A stock that was non-configurable with the rifle was absolutely normal. But today, everything changes. All the dynamics, all the physics, everything changes towards these newer, more efficient type of ammunitions. And today we're going to talk about that based upon the .30 caliber only, the .308 and the .300 hammer. Little versus big. So come back in a moment, folks. Target set up at 100 yards. Let's get to shooting and comparing. Okay, up on the bench is my .308 Winchester. Now this is a classic example of where less might be more. I started out life, 40, 50 years ago, 30-06, then went to a .300 H&H Magnum, then went to a .300 Win Mag. And it's only recently, in the last 5 or 6 years, did I ever try a .308, and it kind of won me over in terms of what it can do with less powder, but the same bullet. All right, so that's kind of what we're comparing today. Is I've even gone lower than that with my other rifle, which is the .300 hammer. Now today we're going to be shooting the same grain bullet, 110 grain VMAX, but the percentages are out of this world in terms of differences. So where would less is more be better? Well, that's going to be a heck of an argument for me to win over, because I've always believed that more is always more, never less. But we're going to be shooting 110 grain VMAX, traveling out of my 24-inch barrel at 3,300 feet per second. Now, where would you use 110 VMAX? You would use it for, obviously, varmint hunting and extended range because of that speed. All right, well, the target's only at 100 yards, but let's go ahead and see how it groups, because I haven't shot these bullets in this rifle in since last year. So I don't know where they're going to hit, but you're going to be able to see cold bore, clean bore shots just like anybody else. And then we'll convert over to the .300 hammer, and we'll go through the specs and the percentage differences between the two, where you might find that less is more, but not in my case. All right, here we go. Let me go turn the camera on down there. Let's get shooting. Okay, this is my Savage 10 SVPK. Obviously, it's been modified with a chassis, and it shoots good, or at least it did. But we're going to see where it shoots today. All right. Scope I have on here is a 4x24x50 Onstrom Tactical. All right, first shot. A little bit right. The recoil isn't really that bad with this light of a bullet, so don't get too excited about it. But it's still right around that 15 to 18 pounds. You get up to 168 grain bullet, a slower speed, you're going to have significantly more recoil. All right. take that shot. Wind is kicking up about 15 miles an hour, blowing directly diagonal to the rifle. So those bullets going to the right could be wind deflection, but at 100 yards with something that's going 3,300 feet per second, I doubt it. Further out, that might be an issue. All right, third shot. See if it'll group. Okay. About a 1-inch group. I'll tell you what, let's shoot 2 more to find out if that third shot was me. And for those of you that always say a 3-shot group doesn't mean much, you don't know what you're talking about. As far as hunting is concerned, you get more than 3 shots at an animal, you're not very good. One more. So we'll just see if that top one was just a flyer or human error. Yeah, it looks like that top one was pure human error or rustiness. Okay, so let's switch over to my newest 30 caliber. All right, but this is my 300 hammer, shooting 110 grain VMAX, traveling right at 2,700 feet per second with 28 grains of powder. Now again, keep that percentage in mind, 28 grains versus 49 grains in the 308. At the end of this video, I'll give those percentages difference and we'll find out if less is more. But here we go. Like I said, everything seems to be the cartridges are getting smaller, more efficient. The barrels are getting shorter. Short barrels have been around forever, but it seems like that's the new paradigm for practically every rifle. And I think it's because of the popularity of suppressors. So that even though this is an 18-inch barrel, you add a 6-inch or 7-inch suppressor on top of it, well, then you're back out there to 26 inches again. So I think that's probably the real reason, but I don't know. But this cartridge was developed specifically for shorter barreled rifles to be fast maneuverable. And in an AR platform, semi-automatic platform for fast follow-up shots. Now Bill Wilson at Wilson Combat developed this cartridge and this rifle combination for pig and deer hunting because out there in Texas where he lives, you know, all of a sudden shots present themselves in a very short window of opportunity, and he needed something to get out of his four-wheeler or his truck or whatever, get on it, shoot, and then have a fast follow-up if another shot was necessary. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot that target on the right. Let's see how she does. This scope only goes up to 16 power. It is a short scope designed for the AR platform by UTG, but it is a nice scope, and so far so good on it. Well, let's see what happens now. Get the parallax correct. There we go. All right, target on the right. Okay, well, I kind of messed up. I forgot to turn the camera on down there for the first 5 shots. with my 300 hammer, so I'm going to give you a bonus. We'll shoot 5 shots more at the same target with the 308 Win, so you can see whether or not it groups better even. Alright, but no matter what, you'll see the target that I forgot to turn the camera on when we get back to the barn. But here we go. Wind kicked up, storm coming in. So, wind is now in my face. Here we go. That one went high, didn't it? Okay. Alright, now we'll get back to the barn and analyze everything. See you soon. Okay, over here was the 300 hammer, the first 5 shots that you didn't see. I didn't have the camera on. That worked out to 1.11 inches. Remember, this is 110 grain VMAX traveling at 2,700 feet per second. Okay, then over here are the first 5 shots with the 308 Win traveling at 3,300 feet per second. Okay, and that was a pretty good little group there, 1.260 with that flyer. Then this is the final 5 shots that you saw with the 300 hammer. That worked out just to a little over 2 inches, but if you take that one away, 4 shots worked out to 0.99. Okay, but let's go over the percentages and differences. Here we have the 300 hammer on this side and the 308 Win on this side. Okay, first of all, COL. Case overall length, 2.255, that's 18% less than the COL of 2.70 on 750 on the 308. Velocity, 2,700 feet per second, that's 18% less than the velocity of the 308 at 3,300 feet per second. Then the recoil, 8 foot-pounds is 47% less than the 15-pound recoil of the same 110 grain bullet on the 308. Okay, the barrel length now, 24 inches, 18 inches. That's 25% less. Okay, now let's go down to powder capacity and powder for these loads. Okay, both of them were ball powder, CFE 223 and CFE black over here. On the 300 hammer, 27.9, that's 44% less than the 50 grains of powder of CFE 223. Okay, energy, let's talk about energy. At 300 yards, the energy on the 300 hammer was 912 foot-pounds. That's 37% less than the 1,440 foot-pounds of energy at 300 yards. Okay, then drop. 300 yards, the hammer dropped 16.3. That's 41% greater drop than the drop on the 308 of 9.6 inches. So, remember, percentages matter. So, in this particular case, is less is more? Well, yeah, if you're under 200 yards, fine. If you're over 200 yards, big advantage for hunting to the 308, and I think most of you already knew that. But it's at the expense of recoil, it's at the expense of greater powder capacity, longer barrel. That certainly did influence a little bit in the speed and everything else. Okay, folks, I hope you found this interesting. I didn't prove anything except for, less is not necessarily more, and that's why we have different cartridges, different rifles, and different purposes for each rifle and cartridge combination. And I like to match it up to the game. Large for large, medium for medium, small for small. Okay, but if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Check your subscriptions, please. Check the bell to see my next video in the series. But no matter what, as always, may God bless you all. Goodbye.